Sie hören Sport und Musik.
It's John Brooks! It's John Brooks for the USA!
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
In a world where fans fight over whether to call it football, or soccer, two German men defy the odds and call it Fußball. Bringing you inside the German-American football experience. And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Here we are!
Very nice.
We are doing our intro goodbye tour.
Yep.
We are
that
doing
was,
it.
that was a little harsh, that fade. Not to criticize.
Yeah, I've been trying to do it here on the board here. You usually do it, but I'm doing it this
Because
and I have to-
my loopback software is not working. It's very weird. It's like most of the time I just start it up and it works, and today it doesn't. So there you have it. But computers.
They suck.
But here we are at the Schnitzel Boys USA Hour,
USA.
where all things MLS. Hans Wolf is saying hello. Daniel Young is here. Welcome all.
What up, boys?
We're very, very excited. Very excited to be here. We're going to talk MLS. And
Hello,
yeah, I
Hans
don't
Wolf.
know.
Did you miss our announcement an hour ago? We'll do another quick thing. Schnitzel Boys, for USA fans, have a merch shop.
We have the merch
It's official.
shop. That's
Schnitzel
right.
Boys have a merch shop. Go to Etsy, Schnitzel Boys merch shop, or Schnitzel Boys merch. Have yourself a gander. We got a premium T-shirt, which I'm wearing here. We got a regular T-shirt. I don't know how to call it. The other T-shirt,
Here's the mug.
economical T-shirt. We got a nice little
Schnitzel
mug.
Boys, Schnitzel Boys mug.
Look how shiny. Look, you can use it as a mirror, isn't that? Like a nice shine to it.
No, you cannot. Oh,
Well,
I guess sort of. Yeah, I could see myself.
Kind of.
Very slimming, actually. Very slimming effect.
Slimming effect. We got sweaters.
We need it.
We need it. Oh, I definitely did. Anyway, so Schnitzel Boys merch. But we have MLS talk this week. We're just MLS. We had the CONCACAF Champions League last week, U.S. Open Cup, and MLS. Yes. And Hans, what is your shirt size? Just curious to see if we put all our fans in a scale. How heavy would we all be together?
This is not a for skinny people, this podcast.
Kidding me? Beers and schnitzels and brats and pretzels?
I mean, 2XL, that's right.
Oh, that's what I'm wearing.
Look at that. Look at that.
I've got the 2XL on. I'm a 2XL boy right here.
There you have it.
Fits nice, I think.
Where do you want to start? Daniel Young is bringing up a good point. If you want to,
Oh yeah,
if you want
Daniel Young in the chat. I don't get why people hated Sean Johnson so much. He gave us 6 excellent years, even online. Certain NYC, they discussed his personal life. A podcast talk about where he lived during his time and with New York City. Apparently, him and his girlfriend played in Hoboken. I don't think there's anything wrong with this, as MLS players don't get paid as much as other sports players, and living in New York City is expensive. Given his girlfriend's a soccer player, maybe they can save money living in Hoboken. Did he get gaff for living in Hoboken? Hoboken is a very nice little community.
Hoboken's great. I was not aware of this. I don't know where he was living. I have to say, this comes up now because that's who we played. NYCFC played in Toronto, and that's where Sean Johnson is now. This is the first time that he faced. And I will say, I was totally a fan of Sean Johnson when he was here. But my reaction, I completely turned on him. I will not. I'm not even sure why, but I was like, yeah, I felt nothing. I felt nothing for Sean Johnson in this game. I don't know why. I don't know. Should we get into it?
When did you turn on him? Turn on him last season?
No, during
just during the game.
During
well, yeah,
the
if he
game.
doesn't play for you anymore, he's just
That's it. I was like, I learned to love Sean Johnson. I don't think when he first arrived, I mean, first of all, he didn't come he didn't arrive in New York because he wanted to go to New York. He wanted to go to Atlanta. Atlanta had signed him, and he had signed for Atlanta, and then Atlanta went for Brad Guzan, and they were like, "Oh, we like him more." And then Sean Johnson was scrambling. He was like, "Okay, so I guess." So he's like, "All right, I'll go to New York." And I think, Sean Johnson, he's a good goalie. He was great for us, but there were some once a year he would have some major howler. If you look up Sean Johnson's house, he would do this thing that people made fun of at the end, where after every goal he would like raise his hand for offside. I don't know. There were just certain things where it was like, okay, he's fine. But then we learned to love him over the years. He played great. Obviously, the highlight being MLS Cup, incredible performance, saving these penalties. So he became a fixture, and we grew to love him. But then he kind of didn't love us back all that much, right? Because he then couldn't get out of here fast enough. I don't know exactly, of course, what the NYCFC offer was to him, how much they were offering him, if this was purely a financial decision. I think he also, I think it sounded like, from what I kind of heard, he overestimated his market a little bit. He thought maybe there would be options for him in Europe, and those didn't materialize. So it seemed like he was also kind of ready to go, which in that case, it's like, all right, so you go. And then Toronto, I mean, I hate Toronto. Those guys have hurt us, We've had some of our worst losses against them. And so
they don't hurt anybody, but they hurt you guys.
But they have hurt us in the past. Yeah, there were some, that Citi Field playoff game still hurts. Our first playoff appearance ever, they kind of crushed us at Yankee Stadium in the second leg. So anyway, I didn't hate Johnson when he was here, but I definitely feel a little over him. And it was also, it was just a dispiriting performance. This was probably our worst game of the year, tied with the Houston away game. It was just one of those things which I expected to see a lot of those kinds of games this season, where this kind of young front line just really had nothing. Just really, there aren't, we don't really run in behind offensively. Like, it's usually, we're a possession-based kind of passing team, and when those passes aren't crisp and they don't connect, then we have games like this where just nothing goes. And then Richie Larea, my God, another one of those, and those people who apparently he loves to, he circles our games in his calendar. And it's like, this is where I'm going to be. That's probably how he got a loan to Nottingham Forest. He just had like his highlights against NYCFC cut together, where he looks like a contender, but in other games he's just average. Anyway, he smoked Kevin O'Toole. Kevin O'Toole got the start over Kufre and got smoked by Richie Larea, and then CJ Sapong, of all people, scored the goal. He had just gotten off the plane. Anyway, it was not a good game. So that was upsetting that Sean Johnson had such an easy night, and that made me even more mad. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, Daniel. I loved Sean Johnson when he was here, but I've moved on. Also,
wait a minute, hold on. This is blowing my mind psychologically.
Okay.
Are you saying that when a player plays for your team and does really well, you like them, but when they leave the team and go play somewhere else, you dislike them?
Well, I think, you're saying.
I need to write a PhD thesis on this right away.
What you're trying to say
blowing
is
my
that this
mind.
is obvious. That this is obvious parochial behavior.
Maybe,
but I don't always feel that way. I think it's sort of a little bit part and parcel of the MLS fandom, that you kind of accept your place in the world, and sometimes people move on, and then you don't necessarily. I don't think I've been excited for Tati Castellanos. Tati Castellanos scored 4 against Real Madrid. I was excited.
I was gonna say, that's the biggest news in NYCFC week. Like the fact that Tati didn't just score against Real Madrid. He didn't even score a hat trick. He scored 4 goals, man,
against Real Madrid. Yeah, this is like,
That's big news for MLS. That's big news for everybody.
His grandkids will hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
And David Lee or whoever, I don't know, the City Football Group is laughing their way to the bank. His value
Yeah, I mean,
doubled.
presumably, yeah, because he's still on loan, so presumably there's some big money coming our way. Yeah,
They couldn't
maybe.
sell him last summer. This summer, they're going to have no problem selling him.
No,
The experiment worked, by the way.
Yeah, and I don't have any hard feelings about Tati. I still root for Jack Harrison when I see him play for Leeds. I'm happy to see him play well. Yangel Herrera also on Girona, I still love. He was an ex. So it's not like I do still hold some love in my heart. There's something about, I don't know. There's something about, I mean, Alex Collins is in Girona. I still love him.
Well, what I will say about Sean Johnson is this. I went to NYCFC games when they first started, and the glaring hole on that team was Josh Saunders.
Right.
Josh Saunders, NYCFC's first keeper, who I'm sure is a good dude.
Yeah,
but he's a bench keeper. He was always on the bench
too.
beforehand.
We loved him too, and he played well for a lot of his time. But eventually,
eventually
it was clear, like, we needed an upgrade.
If you do one signing in the offseason, it's a keeper. And they signed Sean Johnson, arguably the best keeper in the league, one of them. Like at that time was like Sean Johnson, Bill Hamid.
Atlanta didn't think so, and they got
Brent Guzan from the Prem. If you come in from the English Premier League, in this league, you are like a god to people for multiple reasons, off field and on. That's just an MLS rule. And Sean Johnson is domestic, and MLS hates on its domestic players. You know, Clint Dempsey and Michael Bradley get $7 million a year. Josie gets $7 million a year. But Mike McGee, $300,000 for him. You know, those are just still MLS. That's just how MLS go. MLS. It's a market value thing. So when they signed Sean Johnson, big get, and he instantly improved the whole team. He had a much better season after that, and it led to you winning the MLS Cup. Sean Johnson was there the whole time. You know, is he a mercenary? Aren't all soccer players mercenaries? I mean, honestly. I think some behave differently than others, but at the end of the day, they're there for the check and they're just soccer players.
Yeah, it's I guess I felt like he could have I guess I felt like he didn't love us back in the same way that we learned to love him. I think that's where my reaction. There was something about him that you felt like you never fully got to know him. He was very sort of guarded, I feel like, in his responses to media. He was like a very, which is, obviously it's all completely his right. And then I guess once he arrived in Toronto, he said, "Oh, it's nice to play in a soccer-specific stadium." I'm like, come on, don't say that.
Yeah, maybe he did. Maybe he hated him. What I will say, maybe he did hate NYCFC. He has a great voice. I think he's going to be an analyst. He has
a great voice.
Nice baritone.
He's
voice.
A very warm. I've met him in person a couple times at these events. He's like he's a warm guy in person.
After the CCL game, and Hans was there, and we were all there. He came out over. It was like a picnic. Remember, he came to there was only 40 of us there, or whatever.
Yeah.
Came by, said hi. It was very nice. What I will say though is the NYCFC training facility is in Orangeburg, New York, upstate.
I am aware.
And if you live in Hoboken, New Jersey, and you have to commute to Orangeburg, New York every day, what kind of commute is that? That can't be friendly.
It's not bad because it's on the same side of the Hudson. It's actually closer, I bet, from Hoboken than it would be from like Manhattan.
Oh, then there you go. That probably explains it.
Yeah.
It's probably a convenient place to live. Also, it's cheap. It's nice. You know, I wouldn't criticize Hoboken living.
Nothing. No, I didn't even know this. Me turning on Sean Johnson has nothing to do with him living in Hoboken. I didn't even know that until tonight, and that's totally fine. I don't know. I don't know who his girlfriend is either. I am not one to be too invested into people's private lives like that. So I don't know. I don't know these things.
Her name is Chandra Johnson.
Oh.
I'm joking. I have no idea what her name is. Is she an NWSL player for Gotham then? If she's I don't know.
Well, then he should have re-signed with us if that was the case. Anyway, I don't know. I think there was a potential for this to be for him to end his career in New York, and he clearly didn't want to do that, and that's fine. But then I also don't have to love him forever.
If his salary at Toronto,
like if you're gonna leave us, yes, we're gonna find out what his salary is, and so and we also don't know what NYCFC offered him. So
the other big part of this
they
story
were very hard. They were very sorry. I'm just gonna say this one more thing. They were very high on Luis Barraza. They were very confident that he could do the job, and so far, I mean, we're 10 games in, and he really has done nothing wrong. He's been quite good. His distribution is better than Sean Johnson's. His passing is better. Is he perfect? No. But he's been very good. And so I don't know if they lowballed an offer, if they didn't really want to take him. He's 33. Maybe the club decided they didn't want to pay for his down years. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what happened. My impression was that he was ready to move on. And so that's fine. But then you lose my love.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I was going to say is MLS. It's like it's always hard for me to blame the players, because when it comes to players versus MLS, I mean, MLS is always, they don't treat their players well. They keep them cheap, and they take their rights away from them. So like,
but NYCFC doesn't generally. NYCFC has been very player friendly historically, like accommodating moves and letting people go when they wanted to, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, but MLS, I'm talking about MLS here. NYCFC is part of MLS. Granted, his contract was up, and I guess he chose to move somewhere, I know. However, like, I'll bet that they were not willing to offer any sort of increase or anything, and he went to a club that offered him like a 10% increase. Yeah, thank you, Daniel Young. MLS is a business. Any player can be moved. Anytime. So Dax was just taken away from us. Walker Zimmerman gets taken away. Julian Gressel gets taken away.
Yeah, but that's not the case here. His contract was up.
But what I'm saying is it's from the same people that engineer it to be difficult for players. MLS is the only league in the world, and this is kind of segueing into our next topic, which
we're
segueing into our next topic, the Emmanuel Reynoso issue. And MLS is the only league in the world where players consistently just hold it ransom and force moves. Like, no other league that doesn't happen. Here in MLS, it happens all the time. Almost like every season is a story of a player who's just like figuring out a way to get out of their contract or to get sold, and they have to use ransom tactics to do that. Everywhere else in the world, you're allowed to ask, and it's like much more reasonable, and the players have much more of a say. Here, what's to say that Sean Johnson had no offers because people were getting in his way? What's to say that his player rights weren't being held so he couldn't be sold to a rival and only had to go the other option that paid him less? Like, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but a lot of clues that we see is that the league has a very, very strict control over its players, and it's just a very hard league to have any sort of player rights in. And, Sean Johnson, MLS player like anybody else. That's all I'm saying. It's not, I don't think it's as black and white as you're saying. That's where it's like, oh, he should have stayed here because X, Y, and Z. Maybe he's, young athletes need to make money before they retire, before the CTE kicks in. So, CTE, the brain disease that athletes have when they have too much head contact, and the brain deteriorates into violence, violent rages.
Okay, all right.
I'm saying, like if it's the story you're selling, then sure. But I'm sure
not
behind
selling
the
any
scenes,
kind of story. He should do whatever he wants. If he wants to leave, he should leave. I don't owe him my undying affection. And to me, it makes a difference if you have an offer from Leeds or you have an offer from Girona, Spain. I understand. That's where the money is. And I'm not sure. But this this situation doesn't seem like that. It seemed like he wanted to leave, and that's fine. But then he should do whatever he wants. I'm not saying he should have stayed if he didn't want to. I also said I don't know what they offered him. I'm not sure. If you want to talk about Reynoso, that's fine. If we want to change subjects, that's okay. But I don't think he's not an example of being held hostage by a contract or anything like that. I mean, I know that happens in the league, but this is not it. This is not an example for that.
What if this is a scenario?
Okay.
What if his contract was up and they're like, we'll extend your contract, but we're not going to give you any significant raise. It's just
Yeah,
the same crap you've always made.
probably what happened. Yeah.
Then Toronto calls, ring, ring, ring. It's like, we'll offer you twice that. Let's pretend.
If we find out that he makes twice what he made with us in Toronto, I will recant. I will be like, Sean Johnson, rock out. I don't think that's what we're going to find out. That's my guess. But if that's the case, then more power to him. Then I will take everything back and I will love him again forever.
Good. All right, I'm just curious. I'm just being devil's advocate. And I don't have much to say on Emmanuel Reynoso. It just felt apropos at the time because it sort of fed into... Because the Emmanuel Reynoso thing is such a mystery, right? I'm just theorizing.
This also doesn't seem to be an example for the contrary. This just it seems an example for somebody just kind of
I'm theorizing
going off the deep end.
Well, he is going off the deep end, but I think his goal is to sign with the club in Argentina, and this is how he's pulling it off. That's my theory. Otherwise, what the heck is going on? Why is he just not? Taylor Twellman on the broadcast says 2 weeks ago he agreed to be on a plane. I think they flew down there, and they were supposed to meet him at the plane, and then he was not on the plane, even though it was verbally agreed he'd be on the plane.
Yeah.
So, the mystery continues. I don't know what's going on down there. The rumors are, A, he has legal trouble,
he's got
and
some
B,
personal
he's
issues.
got a thing with his wife. Maybe his kid. I don't know if he has a kid, but he's got a thing with family. And to me, that means he needs to stay in Argentina. So he wants to stay in Argentina, but Minnesota is not selling him or letting him go. And they're definitely not terminating his contract for whatever reason. Now, I don't know. Did they buy him for money or was he a free signing?
No, I think they probably paid a transfer fee. I don't know that for sure, though.
Because I think people are saying, this cancels contract. But I think Minnesota, being a business, is like, well, we paid money for him. We have to, if you want to buy him, you know what I mean?
Well, it also sets a bad precedent if you're just like, because, this is often, contracts are often inconvenient at some point for people that have signed them. So if you set a precedent of being like, okay, if he doesn't want to play here anymore, we'll just let him go. I think, then it's, that's probably discouraged as a practice. So,
yeah. He came from Boca Juniors. I don't know if there's any information about a transfer here. Maybe I'm going transfer marked. But I'm sure they paid Boca Juniors for him, right? He's only there for 2 years.
I don't know the answer. But yeah, it seems like if he just wants to stay in Argentina, he's going to have to. It doesn't. I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, it was weird. The whole thing is weird. The way that Adrian Heath sort of was like, I don't know. We thought common sense would prevail and he would show up, but I guess he didn't. So yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. According to Transfermarkt, he was signed for 4.27 million euros. So for a little over $4 million. So yeah, they paid for him.
That's big money. That's big money for MLS, for an MLS
definitely.
DP. Yeah.
Definitely.
Plus, you're not going to replace. Hard to replace right now. It's not an easy situation. But really, we have been skirting the big controversy that happened on MLS 360 this weekend.
Entice me.
I have from the beginning, I thought that Cale and Kyle was my favorite of the four, and Bradley White Phillips. I've said that if I had to keep two, I would keep those two, but I have to take that back. Why do they have all these Red Bulls on this broadcast? We don't understand. And now Bradley Wright Phillips let a jersey, an NYCFC jersey, drop to the ground, refusing to touch it. Somebody threw an NYCFC jersey at him, and he stepped out of the way and almost stepped on it.
Wait a minute. What? This was on MLS 360?
This was on
Someone
MLS
threw a jersey at him?
Yeah, they were
from behind camera? Who threw a jersey?
No, they had they were, I guess, pre-gaming the Toronto NYCFC game, and were saying how NYCFC had been doing pretty well considering the turnover and blah blah blah. Of course, that completely jinxed us for this game. But anyway, somebody had a jersey, and they then kind of I guess, I don't know, this was probably planned. They were going to provoke these Red Bull dudes with this, and Bradley White Phillips, they dropped to the floor, and then Cale and Kyle had to pick it up and said, "I'll take it. This is the only good team in New York right now." So
Nice. There you
props
go.
to-
Then what's the controversy?
So props
Sounds
to
like-
her. And well, Kale and Kyle saved the day, but it's like
And she's Canadian,
think
right? Isn't she from
they sh-
Toronto?
I don't think they should have these parochial people on these shows. I don't know. But anyway,
It is weird. Well, I want to add to that. We talked about this before. I like Joe Tollison a lot. I like Ian Joy a lot. It's weird. And we don't have facts, but it's like if you
Well,
read
we have
between the lines,
some-
it seems
we
like
have
they want Ian
some,
Joy, but they did not want Joe
right,
Tollison.
right. And Ian Joy didn't really want to do it. He was
But-
happier with his other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and they hired a whole bunch of Rebel because it's a New York City based show. It was done in 6 months. I'm surprised they don't even have more New York guys. So it's weird that they didn't hire any of the NYCFC folks. You know what I mean? Like Joe Tollison should be involved. I don't know why he's not. So they have Bradley Wright Phillips. They have Sasha Klestjen. They flew him in from LA.
Shep Messing
Shep Messing.
shows up a lot. I mean, Shep
Yeah.
Messing, I don't love that guy.
Shep Messing had a
personally,
great
but
weekend, by the way.
I understand that he is he's like he speaks to a certain generation of old school American soccer fans. So I understand why he's there.
Well, he was on point with his analysis this weekend. When they showed the pregame
Was he
of the
now?
Red
Was he
Bulls.
now? Okay.
Oh, definitely. But he pretty much. I'm trying to get. We're all over the place here. I just want to go back to the almost 360 thing. So, yeah. Anyway, so whatever. They have fun. They're also trying to do their best to make it seem like NBA on TNT, to their awkwardness. So whatever, they're doing their thing. I know the NYCFC in New York, they're just trying to make something happen. But you're right, there's no NYCFC reps to fight back. It's just a bunch of Red Bulls folk
We
or
need
strangers.
the Canadian lady to stand
Yeah.
up for us, which
Need a
you
Canadian
know,
lady.
appreciate that she did.
On the week that they're playing Toronto, which is from. However, the other thing they're doing is they got Sasha interviewing Dax McCarty on Dax McCarty's 400th start. And Sasha and Dax are talking about the good old days, the Red Bulls. And it just made me not tear up, but be like, man, I miss, like, you guys are talking about the Red Bull pride, but no one's talking about the dumpster fire that's happening right now with that damn club. They're just talking about the Red Bulls from 5 years ago over and over and over again. It's like, yeah, that team doesn't exist anymore, okay? And now you have this new team, which is god-awful, and you're not even talking about it. You're just saying every now and then, it's like, they're having a rough season. Anyway, moving on. So Shep Messing, on the pregame with the lineup, he looked at that New York Red Bulls lineup, and he's like, no one on that team can score goals. He's like, I don't know where the goals are coming from. He's like, maybe Christian Caceres and maybe Omer Fernandez, and that's it. No one else in this team scores goal. And that is called pinpoint, spot-on analysis. Well done, Shep Messing. You got it exactly right.
Well, you don't need Shep Messing though to figure that. I mean,
Yeah, but that's an analyst's work
that's
doing
been
analyst
obviously
work.
what everybody's been saying about that team.
Well, anyway, Shep was paid to say it, and he said it.
That's why you. Well, anyway, okay.
So, you know, but yeah, I just want to go back here to the chat. What is CTE? That's that brain disease that football players have. My personal theory is it's why O.J. Simpson did what he did, because of his CTE. There's also this famous wrestler case. What's his name? Sean Benoit,
Wow.
Chris Benoit.
Wow. All
What's
right.
the wrestler's name, Bjorn? Benoit, who CTE'd his family? Is that the right term? Anyway, CTE,
Okay.
boxers get, if you have a lot of physical contact with your head, it creates this slow degenerative brain disease that makes you more violent as you get older. It's called
Yeah, a lot of
CTE.
NFL players have that problem.
I don't know, soccer players
It's not
are
necessarily just becoming violent. You also have, people get depressed. People have trouble sleeping. It's has all sorts of symptoms. It's not just murderous rage.
well, it's bad. It's a bad brain disease.
Yeah.
Not no good. Daniel Young, Hoboken offers the same amenities as New York, much affordable rate. Oh, we got New Jersey real estate. Okay. Training grounds, 40-minute drive. All you do is drive straight up the Palisades.
Not
so
not
makes
dissing
sense.
not dissing Hoboken. Hoboken's good.
I want to talk about that for a second too, though. When they announced the training facility up there, in my head, I was like, "That is so far." Like, shouldn't now that they're moving their stadium to Queens, shouldn't they maybe relocate the training facility to somewhere in Queens? Or am I wrong in thinking that?
This
That's
is
stupid.
this is under under review. This is
Sure.
something that Brad Sims was talking about. That this is obviously everything is going to change. Yeah, I mean that training facilities for one team. The youth teams they train in Queens. They train somewhere different, and yeah, I mean there is talk of another facility that perhaps could be a small stadium for, but also for training. Yeah, there's going to be stuff happening.
Yeah, that's good. I maybe I'm a little old school or weird in how I think, because you see it a lot where the stadium is somewhere, but the training facility is like somewhere totally different. Not just with all sorts of clubs, even in Germany too,
in Manchester City, it's all one big campus and it's right next to the Etihad. So
yeah, to me, I look at that and think that's ideal. They should all be there. The youth players and the senior players eat at the same cafeteria, right? The office is there. It's just like they're all there. It's like a community, a part of the community. Where I used to live in Brooklyn, Sunset Park, the Brooklyn Nets had a big training facility there. And when I went to the McDonald's on 36th Street and 5th Avenue, I'd stand behind really, really tall people in Brooklyn Nets gear. I'm assuming they were the players. And it's only like it's one express stop away from the Barclays Center. So it was like, to me that made sense. They're right there. You go down there, you play. Easy. Okay, there's not much to talk about Red Bulls. Last minute equalizer again. They booed John Tolkien because John Tolkien badmouths the away fans, apparently. Typical nonsense. Struber out continues for a second week. The New York Red Bulls are on social media steroids. They put a post out every 30 minutes now, all of a sudden. They used to put a post out once every other week or something. Just an email here. Now they are just posting about their partnerships with this, and their partnerships with that.
Winning the social media game.
Winning the social media game. And every social media post, me and an army of fans, all we respond is Struber out. What the hell's going on? It just gives us an opportunity for us to just yell at that dang club. And I don't know what is going on. Like, if I'm the social media team, I'd be like, listen, we need to stop putting posts out so frequently. All we're getting is just more trash talk. You know what I mean? Or are they double doubting? I just don't know what's going on over there. It's like, we're not firing the coach. So more posts of them at the hospital with the kids, please. And they're just putting them out there and out there and out there. And all we want is one thing. Struber raus. You have it's like, we're missing all three of our DPs, sure. But that just goes to show you that this roster design is flawed. Like a team, soccer teams are 11 players and a bench. So if 3 players are missing, they can't destroy your entire attacking plan. You know what I mean? It's not like you need more than 3 goal scorers. And only one of them is a number 9. So your guess is as good as mine, Bjorn. Corey Burke thankfully scored a last-minute goal to salvage a point, but we are last place in the East. We are 15th place. There are 1 or 2 other dumpster fires in the league, worse than us, oddly enough, which blows my mind. Someone recently shared a story that in 2006, when the Red Bulls were like 7 ties in a row, all the fans started wearing red ties. Call themselves the Ties Club. And
very punny.
Smart. Very smart. Let's bring that back. It's time for some red ties again at the New York Red Bulls.
But you'll only put them on at the very end of the game because that's when these ties all happen.
And in a funny, weird, sad way, all of those last-minute salvage points were all like luck of the draw. It's just like we shouldn't have. It's been lucky we've been getting that even. You know what I mean?
Didn't deserve them?
I don't know if we didn't deserve them, but it's like our game plan is run around and catch them late to get an equalizer. That's our game plan. And I don't want to watch. I will watch every week, but I don't want to. I don't want to watch that, Bjorn. I want to watch teams. I want to watch a team that has soccer players that can pass the ball and create chances and almost score a couple times and finally score maybe a goal, maybe 2 goals.
Speaking of that CCL game was pretty fun. The Philly LAFC one.
It was amazing. Gotta love CCL.
And Philly seemed like they were going to get out of there with a 1-0 victory, but no, the late equalizer by Kellyn Acosta, sort of also a weird goal. hit it with the side of his foot. Yeah, that was fun. They're playing tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow night, I would love to be there, but I'm picking up my mother from the airport, so I will not be at the stadium. I'll have to
Ooh,
catch the game
Madame
later.
Schnitzel.
Madame
Schnitzel
Schnitzel.
is arriving.
Coming to the West Coast, first time since, I don't know, the early 80s or something.
Really?
Something like that. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Do the Hollywood tour. There are no soccer games while she's here this week, so unfortunately we couldn't go to any. Otherwise, I would love to.
Yeah, we
I get
have,
free tickets for the Galaxy this month because it's my birthday, and I signed up an email thing. And at the LA Galaxy, you get free tickets on your birthday. Isn't that nice?
Amazing.
So I'm going to do that this month. But there was also the great U.S. Open Cup games. I watched that Atlanta game thinking they were winning it. I turned it off and had to leave or had to go to work or something.
No. Oh no! One of the
They
upsets.
bottled it. They bottled it. There was a couple of fun upsets in the U.S. Open Cup, but the New York Red Bulls play DC United next round at home. That's our big rivalry, the DC United. NYCFC. Who do you guys play? Memphis?
Cincinnati on the road.
Oh, that's not easy. Cincinnati's having a hot season. Having a hot season.
These games are kind of crapshoots depending on who they're gonna play. Usually it's sort of a B-ish squad sometimes, so then you really don't know what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who knows?
I'm just upset it's on the road. I love those early round, like usually they're in Queens at Belson, at the small stadium above the garage. I love those games. So
last year I went
the fact that we're on the road. I don't like.
Last year I went to the Sacramento Galaxy game where Sacramento beat them on a crazy blunder by Jonathan Klinsmann. Great game. Maybe I'll be able to check out some more Sacramento games this year. Orange County SC, had a great time going down there watching games. And then,
Tony
Fresno Fuego.
Tony Rocha and Ugo Colli, former NYCFC guys.
Yeah, two of their worst players. But then they have other better players that didn't play for NYCFC playing for them. I don't know. Who knows? I don't even know. I went to Orange County versus Hamburg SV game. And it was a bunch of people in Orange County. They had the numbers on their shirt were 73, 74, and all the fans in the stands were just yeah, we don't know who those guys are either. Those are also trialists. So, I mean, I've seen some deep cuts in American soccer.
Listen,
those
teams, those are. It's. Yeah,
Daniel Young.
I saw them play at the Rowdies in Tampa, and that was a similar. Yeah.
On your road trip.
Yeah, they waved. I had my NYCFC gear, and both Tony Rocha and Ugo waved at me, and we connected. It was fun.
Oh, you saw Orange County at Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Who won that game?
The Rowdies did. The Rowdies are pretty good as far as the USL Championship goes.
I don't feel advantaged. Daniel Young looking at buying a home in the area. Ooh. That is New York City is tough to do that. Average price $300K. That's a good price because you can easily go twice that anywhere in New York for a one bedroom.
You could easily go 4 times that.
I mean, depending on the size of the home, yeah.
Yeah.
Average price. I mean, right. Bronx, Brooklyn. Yeah, I read an article. The Bronx is as pricey as Brooklyn these days. What's going on up in the Bronx? Bronx used to be the more affordable neighborhood because it's kind of a little bit. The Bronx is its own ecosystem. For those of you that aren't really familiar with the New York City area, Brooklyn and Queens and New Jersey are commuter communities into Manhattan. Bronx less so, and Staten Island is its own universe because there's no subway connecting it. You have to take the ferry. So the Bronx, for me, living in the Bronx would have been always very inconvenient. I would go up there every now and then because the Bronx Beer Brewery sponsored my comedy show. So every week I'd take the train up there, grab a whole bunch of free cases of beer, and then Uber them down into the city where I did my comedy show and gave out free beer. It was called the Free Pizza and Beer Show in Old Chinatown. Back in the pre-pandemic days, I'd go up to Yankees games, the NYCFC games specifically. Other than that, not much brought me up to the Bronx. But it seems to be a really hip neighborhood. So, yeah, Queens and Staten Island was what Queen. If I had to pick, if someone gave me like a good budget, I had to move somewhere, I would go Queens, like Woodside, Sunnyside, something like that. I love Long Island City, but that's also very cost prohibitive. Astoria is a lot of fun, but also probably pretty cost prohibitive these days. I don't know. Maybe you could live right by the new fancy old stadium out there on the 7 line, out there by the U.S. Open complex. That's probably reasonable. I would say the Corona area.
You
right?
can, if you're not in a hurry, you can get one of those apartments that are being built alongside the stadium.
I move into the. I'll spend all my money on one of those premium boxes, whatever they're called, the premium. The one that the ones that you were going to go to for your birthday, but it was way too expensive. Whatever they're called, the box seats, premium box, the suites. I'll just buy one of those and just live there all year round. I'll be like, hey, I paid top dollar. I get to live here now.
Oh, like Kanye did that, right? In Atlanta. He was staying at Mercedes-Benz Stadium for a while. Yeah, I guess that is an option. Not open to most of us, but to some of us.
I just want to say that Kanye West's views are his own. No one here on the Schnitzel Boys podcast hour shares his views, and we do not condone Kanye West's comments.
I probably share some of his views. I don't know.
You know why he got in trouble, right? You know why he's canceled, right?
Well, he's
big old anti-Semitism.
He's
Anti-Semitism up the wazoo.
Well, he seems like he's mentally ill.
Yeah, CTE. That's that CTE.
What, he has CTE? Oh,
yeah, he was rapped way too hard. Anywho,
this we're off the rails.
Sorry, bringing us back to a story I don't quite fully understand.
Oh, okay.
So let's talk this out, and Bjorn, I need your help on this one.
I got nothing. I don't think I got anything.
Well, I'm gonna try to wrap this story in a little bow, and then this is just part 1. We're gonna do a follow-up next week, where we have maybe more of an expert about it.
If we're gonna get back onto the rails, this is not gonna be it. But here we go. Let's hear it.
Speaking of rails, Bjorn. Speaking of rails. Are you a member of the Third Rail?
I am, yes.
Okay, excellent. Now you can help me. I didn't know this. So we're going to talk stadium economics for a little bit.
Okay.
What I have learned 3 days ago is that supporters clubs, like the Third Rail, are like overcharge their members or whatever, so they can take all their extra money and use that to design tifos and pay for like organizational costs and crap like that. Is that true?
They overcharge us? I pay.
Who pays for the tifos? Can you break down the economics of the Third Rail for me a little bit?
How would I know? I don't know. They have
okay.
I don't think they. They're mostly made by volunteers. I don't think they cost a ton of money. I think they do get. Yeah, I'm not on the inside of the Third Rail. It's not a lot of money either. I pay them like maybe $30 a year or something like that. It's not a big amount. But yeah, they do have tifos. I think they have some sponsors too. They have these whiskey companies that sponsor them. I definitely do not feel like I'm being sucked dry by the Third Rail. I think it's like $30 a year. And they do a good job. I question whether, these kinds of organizations even need to exist, honestly. It's like in Germany, there's very few of these kind of very formal organizations that you become a member of. But I guess I don't have anything against them. Don't think, okay, but there's more to this.
I brought it up for a reason, yeah.
Okay, please.
From what I understand, so the LA Galaxy has multiple of these organizations. They got the Los Angeles Riot Squad. They've got the Angel City Brigade, the ACB, and one or two others. So over the New York Red Bulls, we have the Empire Supporters Club. We have the Viking Army. And we used to have a group called the Garden State Ultras, but Don Garber disbanded them or whatever, which is another story for another time. Anyway, all the supporters groups hate each other, because it's, that's a whole nother story also. But they all banded together for this boycott of Chris Klein. Boycott! We're not going. And they didn't go.
Chris Klein, the guy from American Pie.
The guy from American Pie. No. The other Chris Klein. And then, which I brought up before, Google Chris Klein auditioning for Mamma Mia on YouTube. I think we've talked
that's
about
wild.
before.
Oh,
Wild.
I know what you're talking about. That is wild.
As an actor, that is my greatest nightmare, and it's terrible, but it's also funny at the same time. Anyway, the other Chris Klein, former LA Galaxy superstar Chris Klein, who became club president, the fans have had enough. They're boycotting. One of those supporters groups, called the Angel City Brigade, caved last week. And they said, we're ending the boycott. We're going to the May 6th, May the 4th, Force Be With You Galaxy game where they have stormtroopers come out and they're given a free Mandalorian bobblehead of Dejan Joveljic, which I really want. I'd love to. I might try to swing going to that game. Maybe. Okay. I think it's on a Sunday or so. I forgot when it is. And then just very short, this is the part that I need a little help with. Just after that, it was shared that Angel City Brigade owe $30,000 in taxes, I think. And you can go on the State of California Bureau of IRS and see it listed there. And then the story goes is that Chris Klein, the Galaxy, paid it off for them so they would cave. Essentially, it was a payoff. It was a very clear payoff. The Galaxy covered that bill for them just so they would cave and come to the stadium, which is what the leadership of that supporters club has done.
We know this or we think this?
This is what I need help with. The facts are there. I have read it multiple times. I just don't get it. I didn't get that fan clubs had to owe that much money to the state tax board. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need help with this.
That's the question. Why would they owe taxes?
Well, that's what I'm saying. My brain is a little broken here. So supporters clubs charge $30 a year, and then they get tickets at a discount from the club. That's way less than $30 a year or something. And then they give you the tickets at a discount, but the supporters club gets a kickback, and they have their own personal funds that they use to build tifos and to pay for the organizational leaders and to buy bands.
They get kickback from the club?
Yeah, it's a middleman organization where the tickets that they sell...
I don't think... I can only speak for the Third Rail. The Third Rail, they don't sell... I don't get my tickets from them. They don't sell tickets for home matches. I get my tickets from the team. And the Third Rail doesn't sell tickets. For away games, the Third Rail will sell some tickets, but you can also buy your away tickets from the team directly for the same amount. So I don't think the Third Rail makes any money doing that. That's just sort of, it's a courtesy that they get a certain allotment that they have to give to their members.
All right, I'm going to send you a link here to a tax lien in the state of California.
This is what you're tuning in for here for our hard-hitting tax news.
Well, I need a lawyer. The reason this blows my mind is because I guess I don't get how fan groups work. Why do they have a $30,000 tax lien at the state?
Well,
why would Third Rail owe New York State?
I mean, I think if you have nonprofit status, you don't pay taxes. But I don't know. Maybe they don't. The Third Rail has a lot of charitable activities. They have volunteer days. They collect for certain causes, etc. So they have so I think maybe they have nonprofit status because of this, but I don't know if that's true. If you're not a nonprofit, you got to pay taxes. Sure.
Okay, California Secretary of State, debtor information, Angel City Brigade, Carson, California. They have a file number. This is the Franchise Tax Board in Sacramento, California. Franchise Tax Board. And they have a state tax lien. It won't let me zoom in here. Come on now. How do we? Give me a quick second. State tax lien. All right, they owe They owe $29,000 to Sacramento, Angel City Brigade, which is an LA Galaxy fan group, and they caved, and Chris Klein, the Galaxy, paid it for them. I think that's what happened, and that's why they caved.
So
that's the story. Or if that's not, or they didn't pay it, they threatened them with a lawsuit or something. I don't know. There's something going on here, but all I know is the Angel City Brigade owes the state of California $29,000. And the reason that's surprise, I mean, are you as surprised as I am, Bjorn? I don't get how that works. Why would the third rail owe New York State $30,000? Hypothetically, is what I'm saying. I get the whole nonprofit thing. But
You're
I'm
an
saying,
organization, you have income, you pay taxes.
I guess so. Angel City Brigade isn't paying their taxes, is what we've learned.
Okay.
I guess. Is that the story?
I mean, not all, like, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find a nice way to say this. These organizations aren't always run by the best and the brightest necessarily.
Definitely not. No. I know.
So
They're run by whoever
sure,
started it first.
I'm sure some things fall through the cracks here and there. I guess. I don't know. I'm not that surprised, I suppose.
Anyway, all this to say, like I said, you can see me trying to process it. The latest chapter of the LA Galaxy fan boycott saga is that one of the fan groups owes the state of California $29,000, and they caved their boycott, so they're going to games again. And rumor is the Galaxy either leaned on them to sue them or something, or they helped them out with the bill. I think they paid it for them or something. Something's going on between the upper office of this fan club, not the fans, the organizational structure of this fan club, and the Galaxy office to try to keep this fan relationship thing going on. But it's just another chapter in the Hollywood Days of Our Lives soap opera of the LA Galaxy. Did they win over the weekend, Bjorn? No, they lost 2-0, I think. They're still losing. The on the field stuff isn't working for them. They
had one good game. They thought they had turned something around. There was a funny picture of Chicharito stretching his pants.
Stretching his pants? What was he doing with his pants?
I don't know if you maybe we'll end the show on this picture. Hold on, if I can find it. But you talk for a second.
LAFC versus Philly Union. My money is on LAFC to represent MLS in the CONCACAF Champions League final against a Mexican club. Will we win 2 CONCACAF Champions Leagues in a row? I'm rooting for it. U.S. Open Cup games are out. St. Louis City got a tie. No, St. Louis City lost to Portland Timbers this past weekend.
Yeah, the St. Louis fantasy is over.
That fantasy is over. The other thing is last week we talked about scheduling and how I was confused why sometimes there's no early game or a Sunday game. This past weekend, we had both. We had a great early game between Nashville and Atlanta. Great game, great atmosphere, loved watching it. And then we had a Sunday game between Minnesota and Dallas, which was also a fun game. No one could finish to save their lives, but it was still a pretty fun back-and-forth game. And that's the kind of Apple TV schedule I support. An early game and a Sunday game. Let us watch, showcase some slots, right? We talked last week about not being able to see as many games because they're all at the same time. I love seeing schedules like this. Maybe even a second Sunday game.
I was excited to be planted on the couch watching a bunch of soccer, but it turns out when we suck, I don't really have any interest in watching anybody else after.
Oh, well, I'm a hardened veteran in that. I'll always watch. I'm like, whatever, that was our game. Anyway, on to others. See if other people are failing as hard as we are.
I watched a little bit. I kind of, and then I was like, ugh, I just want to go to bed.
Okay, so you didn't find that photo of the Chicharito stretching pants photo?
No, I cannot find it right now. It was
last but not least.
The feed has moved on.
Safety, finding a home. I do like the rich culture of the Bronx. Blah, blah. Reason why I love it. 100%. This is my first year as a season ticket holder. Maybe I need to be a third rail season ticket holder. Okay, yeah. So what is the... Well, essentially, if you pay the membership, benefit? You get a T-shirt, right? Or what is the membership?
Yeah, they have some merch. You get a scarf. There's lots of events. I mean, I think if you go to a lot of away games, I think that would be a reason. They often have buses and transportation. It's also, I think, you get to know people on these away games because it's a smaller group. I took a trip that was organized by the Third Rail a few years back to Manchester, where we got to visit the mothership, and I think I've talked about that before. That was a fun time. Yeah, it's a good bunch. Yeah, especially on road trips, like with CCL or to playoff games, or whenever I've gone on the road, I've spent time with the Third Rail. They usually organize events, meetups, and they do that here too. I don't hang out as much there, but yeah, I mean, I think they're a good organization. The other fan group is Los Templados. They are now official. They've been sort of the diehards from the beginning. They play the drums and they really show up at almost every road game. And they have official status, so that's another group that exists that you could join. I don't know. You can be a fan also without being a member of a supporters group, I would say. But they're yeah. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, American Outlaw is the only group I've joined, and I got a T-shirt out of it. And I'll tell you, I don't love. I mean, I could like for instance, I'm thinking of going to USA games in Vegas. Their members only tickets are more expensive than the StubHub tickets. So I'm sitting there wondering what the point is sometimes. But you know, it's still fun to be part of a group. I don't know. It could be fun. I recommend having a good time. I never was officially a member of any of the supporters groups, but I would go to their tailgates, and the tailgates were always fun. The Viking Army would meet at one place, the ESC would meet at the other place. I always had a good time at the tailgates, and it's a fun time. Hanging out with folks on your weekends, drinking, eating, singing, jumping, cheering, watching. That's how it works. I apologize for my lack of understanding of this Galaxy thing, but it's definitely something I want to bring up. And I promise you, I will bring an expert on, or I'll have a full understanding of it for next week, and we'll talk about it because I think it's worth talking about. It's very interesting.
I'm struggling to understand what you don't understand. What is the that they have to pay taxes? That's surprising.
No, I'm struggling to understand the repercussions of what's going on. You understand what I'm saying? Like, what's good? Why is this become news? Did the Galaxy pay for it?
It's rumor, right? We don't know exactly what happened, do we?
No. They owe. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. We need to. There is a full understanding of what's going on, but I don't have it.
Okay.
And the Schnitzel boys don't have it.
We will get to the bottom of this.
We will get to the bottom of what's going on with the soap opera.
At the LA Galaxy.
The LA Galaxy, America's favorite soap opera. All right. Any last questions, thoughts? U.S. Open Cup, CCL, MLS. We got it. There it is. Weeks. Just all right.